Hello everyone, Kyle Bunger here, and welcome to another edition of Rate Their Chances. This is where we determine how likely or unlikely a character is to be in Fraymakers. There are many factors I take into consideration when determining this, but the most influential one is popularity, followed by communication, representation, and potential. Here is the scoring system for this series, with 5 meaning that I think the character will be in the base roster, while 1 means I think they have no chance of being represented at all. Which character are we rating today? It is the Knight from Hollow Knight. This was requested by 3 people this time. Those people are Dittoe, Tarek T, and Vania Knight. Hollow Knight is a very popular indie game that has sold at least 2.8 million copies. They are a popular character among Fraymakers fans as well. They were one of the top picks in both fan-made polls and the backer survey. I could argue that Hollow Knight is the top 3 most talked about franchises within the server, but it would definitely be number 3 behind Shovel Knight and Undertale. Kind of surprising, but when we look at the Knight's potential, things become a bit more clear. Hollow Knight is a Metroidvania game that has many upgrades, skills, and abilities to unlock throughout it. I'm not going to point out anything in particular, but I do think that translating the Knight to be a character or an assist would be pretty easy. He is a swordy too, and I think we do need that in this game. So let's talk about representation next. Even though the Knight is the playable character of Hollow Knight, there is another Hollow Knight game coming out, hopefully soon, that has a different protagonist. Her name is Hornet. Hornet appeared as a boss twice in Hollow Knight, and plays a pretty big part in the story of Hollow Knight. I could argue that even without seeing what she will be able to do in Silksong, I think her potential as a character is pretty good too. I think that Hornet could provide a bit more of a unique playstyle, while the Knight would be a bit more of an all-rounder. Would she actually have a better chance at being at Fraymakers thanks to Silksong? Well, to me, I really feel like it could go either way. I think that is a decision that Team Frey would have to make based on things that we don't know about Silksong yet. For example, if Hornet ends up being a character that would be more appealing to them than the Knight, they might end up picking her despite the Knight being the more requested character. I'm going to go ahead and say that they have equal chances of being the one to represent Hollow Knight in this game. That means that it's probably going to be one or the other, or maybe one as a playable character and one as an assist. So I guess that means I'm going to rate their chances together at the end here. But there's one more thing we need to talk about first, and that's communication. Team Cherry have a contact us page on their website, and are on some social media platforms, but they can only be contacted privately via email. In terms of crossovers, Hollow Knight does have content coming to both The Binding of Isaac, Four Souls Requiem, and Dead Cells, so crossovers are possible. So with that, it looks like we have another compelling case here. Is Hollow Knight, or Hornet, the last base roster character? Yes, I do predict for you all today that your base cast roster additions for Fraymakers are going to be Hat Kid, Isaac, and the Knight or Hornet. It only took you guys 15 tries to figure out who the other 2 base roster characters were after the Hat Kid episode, so well done. Now, check out this edit I made, showing my predictions so far based on my ratings during this series. Now that we do have all the base roster characters filled out, I feel like it's a good time to show this off so that we can see what we've got so far. Along with that, I'm going to go ahead and just explain to you all again why I've picked Hat Kid, Isaac, and Hornet here. Let me say that in general, all 3 of these characters are among the top 10 most wanted and most talked about characters for Fraymakers in general, based on data that I have gathered through fan polls, what people have said they have put in their backer content surveys, and generally looking at how many times these characters are brought up within the McLeod Gaming Discord server and other social media. I predict Hat Kid will be one of the base roster characters because I feel like she was kind of becoming the new Shovel Knight for a bit with how many games she was getting in. Hat Kid also has this very interesting thing going on for her where every single time she gets brought up, everyone agrees that she would be a good character for the game. I'm telling you guys, there's no other character that has that kind of ability to make most people happy if she was revealed. And one final thing, and this is a big factor for everybody that I've picked, is that Hat Kid would fill a void in the Fraymakers roster in terms of playstyle. I would see Hat Kid as a bit of an all-rounder, easy to use type of character, which we surprisingly don't have in Fraymakers outside of maybe Commander Video. But CV is clearly a rushdown character. We need a character who is good at everything, excels at nothing. And I think Hat Kid would be great for that. The reason why I believe Isaac is going to be in the base roster of the game is because it is extremely likely that Team Frey has gotten into contact with Edmund McMillan during the Kickstarter. With that, Isaac was talked about pretty regularly in the McLeod Gaming Discord server at the time too, and he's one of the most popular indie game characters ever in general. I think he could very easily be an assist, but there is so much potential with Isaac that it would be crazy if they couldn't make a moveset out of him. And of course, he fills an archetype that we don't have in Fraymakers yet, which is a zoner, or just a character that throws out a lot of projectiles in general. And finally, if I had to pick one over the other, I'm going to be crazy and say that Hornet would get in instead of the Knight. Just because I feel like with Hat Kid covering the all-rounder archetype, I think that Hornet could be a mix-up, movement-based sword character that could be adding something unique to the roster. And by the way, before I conclude, just remember that these are my educated guesses, and I could still be wrong. There are plenty of characters who could be in the base roster of Fraymakers, and really, anyone who I put as DLC, for example, are just as likely for the base roster too. I just have my own reasoning for believing in what I believe in, and if you disagree, let me know who your predictions are and why. And who should I rate next? You guys still have some DLC characters to figure out and some assists to figure out too. So I do take requests. Let me know who you want to see, and I will see you on the next Rate Their Chances. Bye.